Hello, and welcome to your first Sitrion 1 mobile application. In this application, we want to build a micro app for your mobile device, which gives you the capability to search for customers around you and show it on a map or in a list and to give them a call. First, to start a new project, we are creating a new project in our Visual Studio environment just by selecting the Visual Studio Sitrion 1 template and just give it a name like Find Customers. Click on OK and wait until it's generated. Once the project is generated, you can see in the Solution Explorer that you will have two projects, one regular C# project and one Sitrion 1 micro app project. To connect actually to a backend database, in this case, which is a web service, we are adding a new project to our solution, just a regular C# class project library. We call it AdventureWorks connector because it's connecting to a web service which consumes data out of a SQL AdventureWorks database. In the first step, we are just renaming the predefined class 1 to AW connector for AdventureWorks connector. And then we are adding a new class file to it to have a person object and another one. To create actually a distance object where you can define your available distances and which radius you want to search for customers. To define the person object, we have some predefined information here like customer ID, first name, and all the things what you can see actually currently on the screen. We added data members and data contract to it. We also adding a reference to a .NET library system runtime serialization to have a serializable object actually to transfer the object over the wire. We are doing the same thing with the distance object, so we are defining a class for distance with only one property, the distance value. And again, we have the data contract and data member on it. And now we are going to code actually the connector itself, how to connect to consume the AdventureWorks service. The AdventureWorks service, we hosted this for you in our own data centers, so you don't have to worry about it. You just have to put your code like get customers around me, which takes a distance in miles as a double your current latitude and longitude, so your current geolocation. And then it searches through the web service to get actually the list of persons, the list of customers back from this web service based on your input parameters. And the second method, get distances, provides you the distances which are needed for your solution. So it's a pretty straightforward web service call. To get distances only takes the step size and the number of distances you want to get back, and you will get it back as a list of distances. So now we already finished with our AdventureWorks connector, actually our data layer. And we can go back to the model which was initially opened, and if you have closed it, you can find it in the Sitrion 1 micro app project and just open the model file there. To build now the API itself, we are going to build a service layer where you can just add a new service to the model and just give it a name like AdventureWorks service. We are adding a new method, which is called, in this case, the first method, get customers, or get customers around me. And the second method is just called get distances. The API is pretty straightforward here as well. We are just redefining more or less what our data connector likes to have as input parameters, like the distance in miles, your own latitude, so my latitude, and finally my longitude. We are redefining the type of these parameters. We move it all to a double instead of a string. And now we only have to quickly modify the get distances. To get access actually to the object itself, what you've defined in the AdventureWorks connector, we have to add an asset to the project itself. The asset defines a reference actually to the DLL we created with the AdventureWorks connector. And once we added the asset, the return types person in this case and the return type distance is known by the model itself. So pretty easy. First add it as an asset, the DLL you just created before, and then you can also access the objects from this DLL directly in your model file. By clicking the small icon at the end of the line of each method, you can put overrides actually to the service class, which is generated in the already existing service project, the C# project for it. And here you can just code actually how you want to get access to your AdventureWorks connector, and just do like we showed here on the screen. So we create a new class object, AdventureWorks connector, and then we are just calling the method, including the known parameters. That's all what we have to do for the service layer actually. And now we can continue actually already to build our screen design. For that, we first add a new screen. In the screen designer, you can now give a name, give a view model name. You can see it creates automatically view model on the first screen because we are using the MVVM pattern. You can select a defined template, which is in this case a tab layout template, because we want to have two tabs, one for a list of customers and the other one for a map view actually of our customers. You can see here in the view model area that we created the customers view model, and we can just grab the created methods from our service, and based on these methods we can create actually actions, and we can create fields which are added then automatically to our view model itself, so that we have it accessible all in the screen. Going back to the screen, we can now see what we can do here. The first thing actually what I would like to do, I would get my list of available distances, and to get the list of available distances, we just simply add an action list to the initial action of our first screen, and we call the action get distances. Now you can go ahead actually modify things, like you can modify the header instead of just the regular title, give it a useful name like find customers. You can do the same things on the tabs, of course, like the first tab could be list, and the second tab could be map, since we want to display the map on the second tab and the list of customers on the first. You can also add icons to it by just selecting out of our standard icon something. And of course, you can do the same thing on the map tab. In our first section of the tab where we have our customer, we are now adding some of our control. We can add some controls here. The first control we want to add is actually the picker control to select our distance, like 50 miles, 10 miles, and so on. We can just add the picker control to the section, and the picker control itself has a couple of properties like label, where you can give a label for the picker control, of course, what you actually want to achieve here. You can define the label style, how it looks like, and you can define the item source, which is bound to the picker control, like our get distances return, so the returned list of distances from our action get distance. To define where we want to store the selected item, you can add here directly a new view model field like selected distance, and you will see it directly right away in the view model itself. And the text which should be shown in the picker control itself is of course a distance value. Here again, you can also change the text style if you like. And then you've already predefined the picker itself. And once an item gets selected from the picker control, we actually want to execute again something. And here we want to execute action, or we add an action list to execute to predefine some view model field with the screen set view model field action. And with this screen set view model field action, we actually want to populate the input parameter of the second method, our get customers around me method. And we want to populate this field distance in miles with the just selected distance. And after that, we are going to create a screen data action field to call actually our action get customers around me. In the second tab section, we are just defining now our section itself inside of the tab section, where we also can just grab a map control. And this map control has a couple of properties which we can define now. We can define all the different kind of things what you can see here, like the item source, which will be our get customers around me return, so the result of our get customers around me action. We can define what we want to display actually on the screen for a single item on the map, like first name and last name. Both properties are properties from the get customers around me action. And we can assign the latitude and the longitude. There are also properties from a single person object, how we called it previously. All these properties are in the return list of get customers around me. And here, once we select a customer on the map, we can define again a selected item, which is now our selected customer from the map view model field. And here we can define our own location actually. So we put our own location in my latitude and my longitude. That gives the capability to search actually around our own position. And we define to show our own position as well on the map. Once we executed the action through the picker control, we also want to show on the first step a list of customers. So we can add just a list control to it, and we are going simply the same way. We are defining the item source first to get the customers around me return, and we define a selected item, selected customer list. In the list control, we also can define a single row, how a single row should look like. For this, we take a formatted field, and the formatted field we define like we want to have an image on the left and 3 rows. So we add an image to it with a set image wrapper, and the image itself can also be selected just from the regular icon library, which gets delivered with this solution here. And you can define on the text level 3 different rows of text, because we selected image on the left and 3 rows. And on these 3 text entries, you can now go ahead and add your text components which you would like to display there. Here we can select on the first row again, like first name, last name. We can change, of course, the header style. And here you can also, you don't have to select always the field from the list. You also can use predefined text or custom text, like you've seen it on the customer ID with the hashtag for defining the number, the customer ID number. And we can also show the distance, like you can see it here with distance. We are using the word distance, and we're using the property distance in miles with a string formatter, with a pipe sign, and then this N2 to display numeric value with 2 decimals. So adding our second screen, actually, because on the first screen, when we selected an item, we want to go to the second screen. We are just adding a regular screen, customer detail, with a default template. So no tab template this time, we just a regular template. And you can see, of course, we are reusing the same view model here. And we are defining one new view model field, selected customer, because on the target screen, you don't have select customer map and selected customer list. We only want to map everything to one selected customer. To prefill actually our view model field selected customer, we're doing an action list once you click on the list on a list icon. And here we do just a simple set view model field. And the set view model field actually filled the selected customer view model field with the selected customer from the list, because we are defining this here now on the list item. And we don't need actually a data field action, we only need a screen navigation field. That means we first fill the set view model field, and then we are calling the screen navigation field to go jump actually to the second screen, our customer detail screen. We're doing the similar thing on the map view. We add an action list to it. We add the screen set view model field. And we add the screen navigation field. And here again, we define on this set view model field, the selected customer should be filled with the value of the selected customer map in this case. And the target screen is again the customer detail. So now the whole screen knows how to display the data, get data out of the backend system, out of the web service, and how to navigate actually to the second screen and to the detail screen. And we can already pre-fill our second customer detail screen, where we can first define, of course, the header. And in the header, we can also use values from our view model fields, like the selected customer.customer ID to select to display this as a header. And on the section, you can now give it a useful name like detailed, for instance. And now for all the different things we want to display actually as detailed for our customer, for our select customer, we're adding a couple of different fields, like a label, like a phone call, phone control, and like a send email control or send mail control, so that we have the option, of course, to call our customer directly from the app, or to send them an email directly out of our micro app we are just building here. On the label control, we're just displaying the name of the customer. So you can first define the label name, and then define from our selected customer the first name and last name. And on the call phone control, it works a bit similar from the UI point of view here, like you're populating the properties, you're selecting again or defining again the label for this call phone. And then you have to define, of course, the phone number, otherwise we wouldn't be able to call someone. And on the text itself, we're also displaying just the phone number itself. Similar procedure actually on the send mail control. You're defining the label, you're defining the email address of the customer, and what would you like to display. Actually, here we are also selecting just the email address. You could define a subject and you could define already a body, but that's up to you. Changing quickly the label styles a bit. To display as well additional data, we also can add a second section, of course, on the screen, like location. Since we have the current location of this customer, we can also add a second map control here to the detailed view to actually display where this specific customer is actually located. So just add the map control to it, and you have to predefine the properties of the map control. Again, you can take here the first name and the last name as the textual information, and then define just the latitude and the longitude of this selected customer. Once you have defined this, you can actually just try it out, give it a try. If everything works as expected, by just clicking or starting the debugging of Visual Studio, and you will see already in the emulator, you have now a picker control where you can select the distance out of your available distances. It makes now a call to the web service to actually execute and research every customer around you in the distance of 100 miles. You will get all the customers which are available in the control, and you also see the map control here. And then in the design, of course, on the mobile device, it would take the native map control depending on the device. Clicking now on the customer, you can see your name, your phone number, and all the things what you defined in the designer itself. Let's actually change some typos here on the screen before we are going to publish, and let's change a bit of the layout of the root node, that we don't want to have a group layout and no separators on the screen. We just want to have a plain layout, plain screen style instead of group, and we don't want to show separators after each line. So these are just the simple changes what we want to do. Now we can actually go already to publish the micro app to our cloud environment, to our own cloud tenant. For this, we first have to define some basic images, an application icon, and a marketplace picture icon. For this, I also select just random PNG files from my local computer, and then I upload it to my playground, to my Sitrion 1 tenant. Just provide my administrator account. I'll log in, and now I have to wait a couple of seconds. You can see it uploading to Sitrion 1 Cloud. Now it packages all the stuff what we created here and uploads it. And once you get this message, app upload to Sitrion Cloud was successful, you have it now available already in your cloud environment. So moving on actually to your cloud environment, but just by logging on to one.sitrion.com, you can use here again your credentials for your tenant. Just log into the screen, and here on the screen itself you can see now the whole administrative portal. The important thing here in this case for our use case here is that we have a user which is assigned to the default role, and on the default role you can see actually that we have already assigned an app which is called Flight Search. We have the task list, the task app assigned, and we can see our new app, my AdventureWorks app, of my Find Customers app, sorry for that. And you can just click on it, give it a new name, which should be shown on the screen itself, save it. And once you saved the app, here in this row, you can just move on to your mobile device, your iOS device, your Windows Phone device, or your Android device. Just open the Sitrion One app, log on with your personal credentials here again. And once you logged on with the credentials, you will find it, the app in the menu. You can execute it in the similar way like you did it actually on the emulator, and you will get your list of customers and do actually the same actions. Click on the customer, you will get the details. You can also, of course, go back to the map control, zoom in, and you will see all the customers around you, your current location.